Okay, so I have a vision for reducing the rates of autism uh, dramatically. The very first thing that we need to do is to understand that in addition that as autism, blame is not the same as liability. We can't just continuously point our finger at parents for maybe contributing genetic variation that might increase the risk and say it's the parent's fault. We can't continuously just point to any specific body of toxins and say, oh, it's just the vaccines, or it's just environmental toxins in our food, or it's just glyphosate. We can't do that. What we have to do is take a whole big picture approach to this and realize that there are people in our population who are at such high risk of autism that it's almost a mathematical certainty that they will regress into autism or they will be born with autism. We shouldn't spin science. We shouldn't try to make people think autism is genetic. We shouldn't try to make people think that autism is natal. That people are something you're born with. What we should do is try to understand it. To really bend the curve down in the rates of autism, we need to find those people who are at highest risk and keep them out of harm's way. This is an emergency situation where right now there's babies being born today who the parents are filled with hope for the future, hope for what their first day of school is going to look like. They have visions of what their marriage is going to look like and what their grandchildren is going to look like. And because there are no risk biomarkers, there's no study being done right now that says, how do we predict and therefore prevent and protect families or individuals and families who are at high risk of regressive autism or high risk of natal autism? They're doomed. And we're doing that by neglect. At this point in time, we know well enough from biomarker development in cancer that we can look at a gene, we can look at a protein, we can say this person should not get this chemotherapy because it will kill them. This person should get this chemotherapy because it's going to be effective. We're not doing that in autism. In fact, medical doctors are not considering the risk factors that are right in front of them. And they're so incentivized to get fully vaccinated patients. They know that, or they should know, pediatricians certainly should know that if a child has an unresolved neurological condition, that they shouldn't be vaccinated. It's in the vaccine information sheets. It's their responsibility to use that information and stand up to their practices and stand up to the American Academy of Pediatrics when they say, hey, if you give medical waivers, we're going to, if you change the schedule for a patient, like it's happening with Dr. Bob Sears, we're going to nail you to a cross and make an example out of you so other doctors don't take care of their patients. That's sick. That is absolutely sick. The previous generation of medical doctors knew full well that if a child flare up and they get this huge auto prevent harm. So cancer biomarker science is extremely well developed. I was involved in it. There's phased biomarkers. It's a very rigorous science. We need to take the genetic studies, we need to take proteomic studies, we need to take lifestyle studies, medical exposures, we need to take genetics, we need to put it all together and the exposures in the serum, the pollutants in the serum, we need to put it all together and see if we could have predicted which children would have developed regressive autism. If we could have predicted that, then that means that we can predict it, and we need to develop these massive screens before the baby's born, after the baby's born. Take a look at their genetics, take a look at their environment. The exposures are available in the serum of the parents. The parents are walking around with a sample of the toxins in the baby's environment. And consider familial risk, not genetic risk. Familial risk means, hey, we've got clusters of this disease in this family. We can't automatically say that it's genetic just because it happens in the same family, because the families share a house. They share a neighborhood. They might be on a landfill. We have to look at familial risk as a component as opposed to just genetic. By respecting the rights of patients to informed consent, by respecting the rights of people to decline vaccination on the basis of their perception of risk, by stopping to manipulate, by stopping the manipulation of perception. You can try to perception of risk. You can try to manipulate perception of risk down to nothing. it doesn't mean that risk is nothing. There's a big difference between actual risk and perception of risk. And as long as there's government programs that are bent on perception of risk and bent on manipulating the doctor's understanding of risk to their patients, we're going to see this increase, and it's not going to stop. So there are good number of things we can do as a society, the first of which begins with mutual respect and using what we know, and then developing new biomarkers that will help get these kids out of harm's way.